Children of entitled parents. What was it like being that kid? My mom is very I want to talk to your manager. She complains about and treats service workers poorly because she sees them as beneath her. She doesn't demand free stuff and usually doesn't ask for discounts, but she definitely complains and about everything. Like she once nearly made a phone store employee cry because the in-store stock was different from the website, and my mom tried to argue with the poor girl and asked where she could lodge a formal complaint anyway. Pretty much from a young age, I was embarrassed by her behavior because I never saw any other adults behave like that, and I knew it wasn't okay and wasn't normal. I stopped going places with my mom because I knew she would just be a jerk and I didn't want to be associated with it. By the time I was a teenager, I'd try to slip notes to employees apologizing for her behavior. I used to work in an Urban Outfitters in a wealthy part of NYC. We would get plenty of teens during after-school hours, but for the most part, they were polite and sweet. Their parents, however, were nightmares. One woman screamed at me so loudly that her teen daughter apologized over and over to me. Her daughter wanted to try on sneakers, but store policy is that a manager had to bring out the pairs. The daughter was fine waiting, but the mother couldn't fathom waiting under 5 minutes for my manager to bring them out. I feel so badly for teens that have to teach their parents how to be decent human beings. Might have had a lot stolen, or the person working out front was just there to put the orders to the back. Stupid was the rule that I couldn't take my new trainers up to the till to pay for them. The poor guy helping me had to leave me with a stack of shoes in their boxes. There were other people's in the stack as well, to take one pair to the till, because he would have gotten in trouble otherwise. I stayed with the stack to keep them safe, then went to the till. Kind of crazy, honestly. I was left with probably PS2 300 worth of shoes to take a PS40 pair to the till. After losing her job in oil and gas, which paid $150K a year, I got the pleasure of paying her property taxes while she took out a reverse mortgage to renovate the $600K house for sale, which never happened. The end result was her being $150K in debt with an unsellable house. Then her BMW broke. Then her Jaguar broke. She refused to look for work outside of her industry for 3 years, then finally picked up some minimum wage work 3 years ago. The catch was, she needed my paid-off Japanese 4-cylinder economy car to get to work. I hadn't lived with her for 15 years and walked to work, so it was feasible. This year, she's been laid off and expected that I was going to keep paying her property taxes while driving my car. I told her I won't give her a dime and I'm taking my car back if the house isn't on the market. She acted like a bratty teenager and continues to accuse me of threatening her. I'm looking for a lawyer. Ideally, I'll sue her for the money she's borrowed, but ultimately I just want her out of my life entirely. That's heartbreaking, but to be honest, the lawsuit won't be worth it. All loans without paperwork are actually gifts. Sucks, but it's the end result all the same. Get the car and then get the hell away. Stop paying the property taxes and the house will foreclose and she'll lose it the hard way. Sounds like she's on a path of self-destruction and will only drag you down with her. So sorry you are going through this with a parent. I'm not the child of an entitled parent, but my boyfriend sure as is. His mom is something else, let me tell you. I think the first time I realized I was not going to get along with her, she had taken me and my children to go get McDonald's for everyone. I already didn't want to go because I didn't know her well enough to be alone with her for any lengthy amount of time, in my opinion, but went to make my boyfriend happy. A trip that should have taken, like, 20-minute stops. She was getting food for 6 people. Wound up taking close to an hour. When we got there, and the drive-thru no less, she took her sweet time ordering and asking these people all manner of questions about the food. We had everything picked out beforehand, so she spent an extra 10 minutes questioning them for just her order alone. Then, we get to the window and her card won't work. They tell her that it's their system, not the card. They always have issues with whatever type of card it was she had tried to use. Now, this woman has all manner of credit cards in her freaking bag. She also always has at least $200 cash on her. My point being, she could have used a different method of payment. Instead, she makes them run the card like 6 more times. When that doesn't work, and she's been screaming at the poor drive-through person entire time, she pulls up and parks. Makes me and my kids get out with her because she's acting like a raving lunatic. Says it's because she'll need our help carrying the bags, but it's because she wants a freaking audience. We go in, and she then proceeds to degrade the kid at the counter, calls him names, tells him she's going to call the owner of this particular store because she knows her card will work here and someone's doing something funny. The whole time, I'm apologizing. I told my kids to go play so they wouldn't have to witness it. I'd even offered to pay for the damn food. but she was making such a scene that they just gave her the whole freaking order for free. Like, refused to take my money, probably because she screamed at me for even offering, and told her she had her food, and to leave. Had hated her ever since. Me too, but I assure that is 100% what she wanted to do. People like that live for those interactions because they cannot control their emotions at all. So they need to control others. Making people feel bad about themselves is one way to do that. So they intentionally make themselves into the most difficult customers in the world because they want you to screw up. To give another example, there used to be a regular at a fast food joint my buddy worked at who intentionally ordered very complex and confusing order in the drive-thru, and they screwed it pretty regularly too. And they used that justification to go in and scream at a bunch of teenagers because they forgot the extra mayo or something. My parents are fairly relaxed, but my paternal grandmother was what's known now as a Karen. I hated being around her. Anywhere we went, she would find a reason to draw attention to us by loudly complaining or criticizing everything she could. Scoffing at merchandise in various shops, scolding employees for things they had no control over, sending food back multiple times in every restaurant, all of that kind of shite. I'd never been that sort myself, and even if I'm upset by something, I make it clear to the poor employee that I know it's not their fault in any way. I learned how not to behave from her. Embarrassing. I rarely went with her because I was always mortified. Then when I was old enough, I would offer to go for her. That really helped. She loved the opportunity to stay at home while I did the errands. But oh my God, introducing my partner to her was so embarrassing. We went to a fancy seafood restaurant, and she orders Pinot Grigio. This place so fancy that they give you the spit bucket for wine. He comes over with the white, and she starts screeching, "I didn't order that. I ordered Red." And he kind of stutters, and it's obvious this poor lad is about to panic. I'm like, "No, Mom, you definitely said Grigio." Poor boyfriend has no freaking idea what we're talking about because he's not a wine drinker. After insisting she definitely said Grigio, me reasoning that I thought to myself, "Oh, I don't like white, so I won't drink tonight." A lie. I never drink when out with her so I can drive because she always insists on driving home drunk. She accepts her mistake, but doesn't apologize to the waiter who's been awkwardly standing there while we had this discussion. I apologize to him, and my mom later says, "You know, it's really embarrassing when you apologize for me. You don't have to apologize to them. It's their job." But I just reminded her that I work in food service, so I understand how it feels to be treated like garbage at work and like to make things easier.